How are you? We're here now at Kytler's. It's a very famous pub, and I'm with the owner, JD. What's the crack? How are you, man?
How's it going?
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
I was saying thanks before you even gave me the interview.
Yeah.
So tell us, we'll get straight into it. Tell us about the history of this place and why it's so popular.
Yeah, so Kytler's Inn is very famous for one particular story. It's about a woman named Alice Kytler.
And I believe Alice was a witch.
Well, before you get into the witch part,
sorry.
you have to go back. You have to look at medieval times, female owner in a very patriarchal society, and you know she was the daughter of a very wealthy man, and she was married to a banker, a Norman banker, and you know, very powerful because they had lots of money. And what happened was her first husband died. Okay, so William Outlaw was her first husband, and she had a son by him, William Jr. And that was grand. Okay, it was a bit of misfortune. She remarried a wealthy widow, and he died.
The second husband
died. So that's a bit unlucky again.
Poor Alison.
Remarried again. So now she has the wealth of two husbands from both, and the third one dies. Right. So. Yeah, right, so like two's a coincidence, three's a bit of an MO, like.
Questions start being asked after three, really.
So that's basically it. On the fourth husband, he starts to get very sick, and the fourth husband had children from a previous marriage, and they noticed their dad getting really sick, and they're like, here's Alice, and this is the not the first husband, not the second, not the third, but the fourth, and he's getting very sick. Now, they describe in a couple of journals that he was hair falling out, very pale and grey like, so they think it was arsenic poisoning. God. So you kind of that aside, you know, you had it's very medieval time, so Christianity is starting to come in. We have a new bishop in Ossory, which was kind of Kilkenny, and so he's trying to really put a stamp down. He's a new manager in town. He's like, he wants to make his mark.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to stamp out all the kind of paganism and things. So he's like, oh, it's all Christianity. And next thing, someone mentions the word witch and poisoning, and next thing, they're out for Alice.
They're out for Alice's time is coming to a close, is it?
That's it, yeah. So she's basically the local bishop, the local mayor, they all want her head. They're like, you're poisoning people, and you're poisoning this man, and he's getting sick. And so he went to court and with his family, and they said, look, she's a witch. And the people she works with
in court said this at the time.
Yeah. And it's not
she owned this place, didn't she?
She did, yeah. And it's not just a court, so don't forget, like, it was the Roman Church, so they were actually discussing this Kytler's Inn, Kilkenny, in the Catholic Church in Rome. Jesus. So the Pope was discussing this. So again, they're trying to stamp out all this paganism. So this is they really want it. So this was such, at the time, big news. Yeah. That this little town in Ireland, Kilkenny, is being talked about globally nearly.
That's
globally. So the centre of the globe, as you will, would have been, you know, Rome.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were going to march her through the streets, flog her, and then burn her at the stake for witchcraft, heresy, and like there was lots of wild rumours that she had sex with the devil was one of them. So I mean, well, that's a huge. That was just there with murder. So of the other.
I don't know what to think of Alice.
So you can imagine what Alice thought. She was like, no, do you know what? To hell with this, I'm leaving. So she fled. There's different
I wouldn't blame
stories.
her now, to be honest. If there was someone going around saying that I had sex with the devil, I probably would leave the devil I was living with.
So so she hit the road. Now there's some stories that say she went out to Dunmore Caves out locally and hid out there for a while. Some say she fled to England. But what she left behind was her son, William Outlaw Jr.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, but when you hear his punishment, you'll be like, oh, there's a bit of injustice there. And she left behind her headmaid, Petronella. So the court doled out the justice for her and for him. So William Outlaw was given a strict.
For who? Our son.
Son, oh yeah, because they were complicit. He was complicit in the murder or the injury of her fourth husband. You know, so they made him go to mass every Sunday or every day for 3 months.
That's punishment enough.
Yeah, and to give and you had to give alms to the poor, so you had to make donations.
Okay. Not too bad.
No, not too bad. No, I mean, for conspiracy to murder, that's really light. Petronella was flogged at the stake and then burned in the town hall.
What does flogged at the stake mean?
Flogged, so whipped through the streets, tied to a stake, and then burned. So
this 100% actually happened.
This happened
This isn't
in
just
Kilkenny.
myths or no?
So the headmaid Petronella. So again, they were saying, Alice had a coven, and the head of that coven would have been Alice, and then the second in command would have been Petronella.
I need a sup of the Guinness now after.
Yeah, it is pretty frightening. But so they burnt her at the stake, and it's
And what happened to Alice?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Fled. No, she fled.
Check them under them tables, will you? Jesus Christ.
she's nobody knows what happened to her. Some people say she fled to England. Some people say she came back. But it's the first story of witchcraft, and it's the first story of the Roman Church, the Roman Catholic Church, going after a person for heresy and for witchcraft. So
in the world or in Ireland?
In Ireland, yeah, in Ireland. So I mean, it was fairly up there.
Yeah.
And then you had after that you had Spanish Inquisitions around that time as well.
It's crazy to think that this stuff happens, and that these people discussed this and made decisions when they had no proof or evidence.
No, that's it, and it was all hearsay, and that happened right here in this building.